The first time I realized the HOA president didn't like me was the day she counted the pool keys in front of everyone. Her name was Linda, but no one called her that. Behind her back, the neighbors called her Karen, and to her face they called her Madam President, because correcting her was more dangerous than a rattlesnake in flip-flops. She stood at the pool gate with a clipboard, sunglasses too big for her face, and a smile that said she'd been waiting all summer for this moment. "Everyone hold up your pool keys," she announced. Metal jingled as residents complied. I raised mine casually, watching her eyes flick from hand to hand like a hawk scanning a field. When her gaze landed on me, it narrowed. "You," she said, pointing her pen. "I don't recognize you." "I live in Unit 307, I replied calmly. "Moved in last month." She flipped through her clipboard with exaggerated speed. "According to my records, Unit 307 hasn't registered for pool access." "That's strange," I said. "Management issued me the key." Her lips pressed into a thin line. "We'll see about that." I didn't argue. Arguing with HOA Karens is like wrestling fog. You only end up tired and damp. Instead, I leaned back in my chair and let her stew. 2 hours later, there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find a uniformed police officer standing in the hallway. Mid-40s, confident stance, wedding ring polished like it mattered. Behind him stood Karen, arms folded, wearing the victorious smirk of someone who thought she'd just checkmated a stranger. "Sir," the officer said, "we've had a report that you're trespassing in restricted community facilities." Karen jumped in. "He stole a pool key. I told him he wasn't authorized." I raised an eyebrow. "Stole?" The officer looked between us. "May I see the key, please?" I handed it over without hesitation. He inspected it, frowning. "This looks like an official issue." Karen scoffed. "That's impossible. I personally approve every—" "Ma'am," he interrupted gently, "I need to verify some things." Her face flushed. "John, I'm telling you—" That's when I caught it. The way she said his name. The way he stiffened just slightly. "Husband," I smiled, slow and polite. "Officer," I said. "Before this goes any further, you might want to know that this building is currently part of an ongoing federal inquiry." Both of them froze. "And," I added, meeting his eyes, "I'm not here for the pool." Karen laughed nervously. "That's ridiculous." I leaned closer. "Is it?" The hallway suddenly felt very quiet. Karen recovered first. She always did. The nervous laugh hardened into a scoff, and she stepped forward like the hallway was her courtroom. "Federal inquiry?" she said loudly. "This is a residential complex, not a crime movie." Her husband didn't laugh. Officer John, badge number neatly displayed, kept his eyes on me, posture shifting from casual to cautious. He handed the pool key back, but didn't leave. "Sir," he said, slower now, "I'm going to need clarification." "Of course," I replied, "but not here." Karen's head snapped toward him. "John, what are you doing? He's obviously lying." John raised a hand, subtle but firm. "Linda, let me handle this." That shut her up, temporarily. I stepped back into my apartment and opened the door wider. "You're welcome to step inside, but just you." Karen gasped. "Absolutely not. I'm the HOA president." "And this," John said quietly, "is a police matter." She stared at him like he'd just insulted her mother. But she stayed in the hallway, arms crossed, foot tapping with rage. Inside, my apartment was spotless. No family photos, no clutter, no signs of permanence. That was intentional. John scanned the room once, then looked at me. "All right, talk." I reached into my pocket slowly, slow enough not to trigger instincts, and produced a slim leather wallet. I flipped it open just enough for him to see the badge and credentials inside. His eyes widened. I snapped it shut immediately. "You're not supposed to see that," I said evenly. "But since your wife escalated this unnecessarily, here we are." He swallowed. "You're federal." "Undercover," I corrected. "And this complex is on a watch list." "For what?" he asked. "Financial irregularities, harassment complaints, abuse of authority." I met his gaze. Mostly HOA related. His jaw tightened. Outside, Karen knocked sharply on the door. "John, is he threatening you?" "No," he said without looking away from me. I continued. I'm not here to arrest anyone. I'm here to observe. Your wife's behavior just made my job easier. He exhaled slowly. She didn't know. Intent doesn't erase impact, I replied. Another knock. Louder. John, open this door right now! He hesitated, then opened it just enough for her to see his face. We're done here, he said. Karen's eyes flicked past him, trying to peer inside. What did he say to you? Nothing illegal, he answered carefully. She rounded on me. You don't intimidate me. I'll have your lease revoked by tomorrow. I smiled. Please don't. She blinked. Excuse me? Every email, every fine, every selective enforcement. My smile didn't reach my eyes. I'd hate for all that to be reviewed. John stepped back into the hallway, gently guiding her away. Let's go home. As they left, Karen twisted around. This isn't over. I closed the door calmly. Oh, I murmured to myself. It just started. President Linda, had posted a 3-paragraph announcement titled Unauthorized Use of Community Amenities. It didn't name me directly, but it didn't have to. Phrases like certain residents, suspicious behavior, and law enforcement involvement were doing the work just fine. I read it while sipping coffee on my balcony, watching 2 retirees argue over a pool noodle below. Karen thrived on fear and confusion. It was her currency. What she didn't know was that every HOA action generated data. Emails, violation notices, meeting minutes, bank transfers. Most HOA boards were sloppy. This one was sloppier than most. By noon, I was deep into it. Selective fines issued to residents who questioned decisions. Maintenance contracts awarded to companies owned by friends. Pool access violations used to harass people Karen didn't like. And then there was the reserve fund, money disappearing in neat, boring increments, the kind that hoped no one was paying attention. I was. At 3:17 p.m., there was another knock on my door. This time, it wasn't Karen. It was John. No uniform, jeans, jacket, tired eyes. I'm not here officially, he said. I figured, I replied, stepping aside. He didn't come in. Linda didn't sleep. She thinks you're setting her up. I didn't, I said honestly. She did that herself. He ran a hand through his hair. She believes rules matter. She just believes they apply differently to her. That's common, I said. Power without oversight does that. He looked at me carefully. Are you really investigating the HOA? Yes. Is she in trouble? That depends on how much damage she's done and how much she keeps doing. His phone buzzed. He checked it, winced. She's calling an emergency HOA meeting tonight. I smiled. Of course she is. She wants to revoke your residency. That's adorable. He hesitated. Off the record. Should I be worried? I met his eyes. You should be honest. That hit harder than I expected. He nodded once and left. That evening, the HOA meeting room was packed. Karen stood at the front, gavel in hand, radiating confidence like armor. When she saw me enter, her lips curled. We'll begin, she said sharply, with a matter of community safety. She launched into accusations, unauthorized access, intimidation, vague threats. Heads nodded. Fear again. Then she made her mistake. She announced a vote to seize my pool key and issue fines without due process. I raised my hand. She ignored it. I stood anyway. Before you vote, I said calmly, you should know this meeting is being documented. She laughed. You don't scare us. I'm not trying to, I replied. But federal auditors tend to ask uncomfortable questions, like where the reserve funds went. The room went silent. Karen's gavel slipped from her hand. The silence in the room was the kind that pressed against your ears. Karen recovered fast, but not fast enough. Her hand trembled as she grabbed the gavel off the table. This meeting is not about finances, she snapped. This is about him. Several residents shifted in their chairs. A man in the second row frowned. What finances? Karen shot him a look sharp enough to cut glass. That's irrelevant. It's not, I said calmly, especially when reserve funds are involved. She slammed the gavel. You are out of order! I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. According to your own bylaws, any board member accused of financial misconduct must recuse themselves from presiding. Murmurs rippled through the room. Keran laughed, high and brittle. Accused by who? You? I reached into my jacket and placed a folder on the table. No badge, no dramatics, just paper. By the federal government, I said. That did it. One board member stood abruptly. Linda, what is this? She turned on him. Sit down. He's bluffing. But bluffing doesn't come with bank statements, time-stamped emails, and signed contracts highlighting conflicts of interest in yellow. Another board member flipped through the folder, his face drained of color. These payments, these vendors, Keran's voice cracked. You don't understand. The door at the back of the room opened. Two people stepped inside, business casual, calm, identical lanyards. FBI. Keran stared like she'd forgotten how doors worked. John? She whispered, scanning the room. He wasn't there. One of the agents spoke. Linda Matthews, we'll need you to come with us to discuss several matters regarding the HOA. This is harassment, she screamed. This man did this! I met her eyes, not angry, not smug, just finished. No, I said softly. You did. As she was escorted out, the room erupted into overlapping voices. Shock, anger, relief. Years of intimidation collapsed in minutes. An hour later, the meeting reconvened without her. By unanimous vote, the board dissolved itself. Emergency management was appointed. All fines were suspended pending review. Pool access reinstated to everyone. Someone approached me near the exit. So, you really weren't here for the pool? I smiled. I swim laps sometimes. Outside, the night air felt lighter. My phone buzzed once. Unknown number. She's been questioned. I'm sorry, I typed back. Do better, that's all that matters. The next morning, the pool was open. Kids laughing. No clipboards, no fear. I unlocked the gate with my perfectly valid key. Case closed. Enjoying this story about HOA power trips gone completely wrong? Hit subscribe to catch more real-feeling drama, undercover twists, and stories where entitled behavior meets consequences. If this chapter hooked you, tap like, it really helps, and drop a comment below. Do you think Keran knew she'd gone too far, or did she believe she was untouchable?